Okay, picture this. You've put in the work, you built a great website, it's dynamic, it's beautiful,
It's humming along.
it's humming along, everything's going great, and then bam!
Traffic explodes.
Something happens, you go viral, and suddenly your site is slower than, I don't know.
That's sloth
Yeah.
in molasses.
Yeah, something ridiculously slow. And that's where a hosting provider like Rapyd says, hey, we got you covered. They're all about performance, claiming unmatched performance no matter how much traffic comes your way.
So they say.
Right, marketing speak, of course. But today, we're going to dig into whether they live up to the hype.
We're going deep.
We're going deep, examining the tech, the features, and whether Rapyd is really worth the investment. Now, you mentioned traffic spikes earlier, and I think that's a great place to start.
Absolutely, because when we talk about performance, especially for dynamic sites, it all boils down to something called high concurrency.
High concurrency, that sounds intimidating.
It can be, for your website at least. Basically, it means a ton of users all trying to access your site's content at the same time.
All those requests hitting the server at once. Oof.
Exactly. And think about what happens on a dynamic site. Every time someone browses products, adds to their cart, or leaves a comment,
The server has to do a bunch of work in the background.
pulling data from a database, processing information. It's not just serving up a static page. It's like juggling 100 different tasks at once.
And if your hosting isn't up to the challenge,
You get lag, slow loading times, maybe even crashes. And that's a disaster, especially for businesses that live and breathe online.
right, because time is money. And I see that Rapyd specifically calls out those kinds of businesses on their website. They mention WooCommerce stores,
Oh, yeah, those are definitely in their target audience.
online learning platforms, busy online communities, places where downtime is a big no-no.
And where performance directly impacts revenue.
So they're making a pretty bold claim, saying they can handle it all. What's their secret sauce? What makes them so confident?
Well, they're not messing around when it comes to the technology they're using.
Lay it on me.
First off, they're running on Lightspeed enterprise servers, which are known for being incredibly fast and efficient, especially when dealing with, you guessed it, high concurrency.
Okay, so right off the bat, they're starting with a solid foundation.
They're also using MariaDB for their database, a system that's known for its stability and reliability, less likely to crash under pressure.
So even if those traffic spikes hit hard, the database can keep up.
Exactly, but it doesn't stop there. They're also leveraging Redis, a super fast in-memory data store.
Okay, getting a little technical here. Break that down for me.
Think of it like a cheat sheet for your website. It stores frequently accessed data so the server doesn't have to go digging for it every single time.
It's like having the answers ready to go, which speeds things up.
Big time. And on top of that, they're using Lightspeed Cache.
Wait, more caching. Why 2 layers?
Think of it as double-checking the cheat sheet. It's all about minimizing the work the server has to do, which translates to faster loading times for your visitors.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. They're really going all in on performance optimization.
Oh, yeah. Every little bit counts when you're aiming for that unmatched performance they keep talking about.
But all this tech talk is great, but does it actually translate to real-world results? Do they have any proof to back up their claims?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Unfortunately, they don't publish specific performance benchmarks on their website. However, they do highlight case studies and testimonials from clients who have seen significant improvements in their site speed after switching to Rapyd.
Okay, so anecdotal evidence at least. But what about those traffic surges? Can they really handle a sudden influx of visitors without breaking a sweat?
That's where things get a little tricky. While they don't explicitly guarantee uptime during traffic spikes, they do offer a performance boost option.
Interesting. What's that all about?
Essentially, it's for clients who are anticipating a surge in traffic, maybe due to a big marketing campaign or product launch.
So it's like calling in reinforcements, just in case.
Exactly. And the fact that they offer this service suggests they're pretty confident in their ability to scale resources on demand.
Okay, so performance seems to be their big focus, their bread and butter.
Yeah.
But what about everything else that goes into hosting?
Like what?
Like ease of use. I mean, not everyone running a website is a tech wizard.
True.
And Rapyd makes a big deal about their user-friendly dashboard, one-click staging, automated backups, all that good stuff.
Right. Features designed to make managing your website as painless as possible. But is it really as effortless as they claim? Or is this just table stakes for any decent managed hosting provider nowadays?
That's what we're here to find out. Let's dig a little deeper.
Let's do it.
So I'm looking at their website, and they're really pushing this idea of a streamlined, intuitive dashboard. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, having a well-designed dashboard is definitely important, especially for users who aren't super tech-savvy.
It can be the difference between a smooth experience and a total headache.
Exactly. And from what I've seen, Rapyd's dashboard does seem to be pretty clean and intuitive.
They've got all the essential features right at your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
Domain management, email accounts,
Easy access to backups and security settings.
and they highlight their one-click staging environment, which lets you test changes to your website in a safe sandbox before pushing them live.
That's a great feature, especially if you're making big changes or trying out new plugins. Helps you avoid breaking your site.
Right, because who wants to deal with that? But are these features really unique to Rapyd? Or are we just seeing the standard set of features that most managed hosting providers offer these days?
That's a good question. A lot of these features are becoming increasingly common, so it's important to look beyond the marketing fluff. But there are a couple of things that stand out about Rapyd. For example, they offer WPCLI and SSH access, which is pretty unusual for a managed hosting platform.
Hold on, WPCLI SSH access. That sounds a little advanced.
It is. But for developers, or anyone comfortable working with code, this level of access is a huge plus.
So we're talking about power users who want more control over their server environment.
Exactly. It gives them the flexibility to do things like automate tasks, run custom scripts, and troubleshoot issues in a more granular way.
But for the average user, those features probably won't mean much.
Probably not. They might even be a bit intimidating.
So it sounds like Rapyd is trying to cater to both audiences, the tech-savvy and the less technical.
Which is a tricky balance to strike, but having those advanced features available for those who need them is definitely a good thing.
It adds a level of flexibility that you don't always find with managed hosting.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another important aspect of hosting security. Because what's the point of a lightning-fast website if it's vulnerable to attacks?
Exactly. A flashy car is useless if it doesn't have good brakes and airbags. So how does Rapyd approach keeping our precious website safe and sound?
Well, they emphasize a proactive approach, which is already a good sign. Think of it like preventative healthcare for your website, rather than waiting for a problem to arise before taking action.
I like that analogy. So what kind of preventative measures are we talking about?
Well, they use a multi-layered defense strategy with things like firewalls to block malicious traffic, DDoS protection to prevent those pesky denial-of-service attacks that can cripple your site, and application containerization, which basically isolates your site from others on the server to minimize damage in case of a breach.
Okay, multiple layers of defense sounds pretty robust. But I'm curious, what exactly does proactive security mean in practice? How is it different from what other hosts do?
Good question. A lot of hosts focus on reactive security, which means they wait for a problem to occur, then they scramble to fix it.
Kind of like putting out fires as they pop up.
Exactly. But Rapyd is trying to stay ahead of the curve. They're constantly monitoring for potential vulnerabilities and implementing security measures before any damage can be done.
So that they're trying to prevent the fires from starting in the first place.
That's the idea. And one way they do that is through their partnership with PatchStack.
All right, I was wondering when we'd get to that. They make a big deal about this partnership. What's so special about PatchStack?
Well, PatchStack is all about vulnerability detection. They have a team of security researchers who are constantly scouring code for weaknesses.
And the key here is that they're finding these vulnerabilities before they become public knowledge.
Exactly. It's like having a secret weapon against hackers. By the time the bad guys figure out how to exploit a vulnerability, Rapyd has already patched it.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
It definitely gives you a sense of security knowing that someone's got your back.
absolutely. It's a big selling point for businesses that can't afford any downtime or security breaches.
It adds that extra layer of trust, knowing that Rapyd is actively looking out for you, not just reacting to problems after they occur. Speaking of trust, let's circle back to that support question.
The human element of hosting.
Exactly. Because even with the best technology and security measures in place, sometimes you just need a human being to help you out.
Absolutely. Especially when you're dealing with something as complex as web hosting.
And Rapyd boasts about having 204/7 availability, which sounds great in theory. But is that level of hand-holding really necessary? Or is it just inflating the price tag?
That's a valid question. It depends on your needs and your technical expertise. If you're comfortable troubleshooting issues on your own, you might not need 24/7 support.
Right. You might be fine with email support or a knowledge base.
But if you're running a mission-critical website where every minute of downtime costs you money, then having that immediate access to support can be a lifesaver.
especially if you're dealing with a technical issue that you can't solve on your own.
And for their higher tier plans, Rapyd even offers a dedicated account manager.
Ooh, fancy. So it's like having your own personal concierge for your website.
Pretty much. They're there to help you with anything you need, from technical support to performance optimization to security audits.
That sounds pretty impressive, but I'm guessing that level of personalized service comes at a premium.
It does. Their higher tier plans are definitely geared towards businesses that need that extra level of support and attention.
So we're talking about businesses with complex websites and high traffic volumes.
Businesses where any downtime or performance issues can have a significant impact on their bottom line.
Okay, so it sounds like they're really targeting a specific type of client.
Absolutely. And their pricing reflects that premium positioning.
But that doesn't automatically mean they're not worth considering,
Right. It all comes down to your individual needs and priorities.
which is what this deep dive is all about, right?
Yeah.
Helping you figure out if Rapyd is the right match for your online endeavors.
Exactly. We're giving you the information you need to make an informed decision, not just telling you what to think.
So let's recap what we've uncovered so far. Rapyd is all about performance, security, and expert support. They're using some impressive technology and partnering with industry leaders like PatchStack to ensure that their clients' websites are fast, secure, and reliable.
But they're not a one-size-fits-all solution. They're targeting a specific niche of businesses that need that extra level of performance and support.
And they're not afraid to charge a premium for it.
That's right. So the big question is Rapyd the right solution for you?
That's the question we're going to tackle in the next part of our deep dive. We'll weigh the pros and cons, look at pricing, and help you figure out if Rapyd is worth the investment.
Stay tuned. So, is Rapyd the right fit for everyone? Well, no, not necessarily.
You're saying there are some websites out there that might not need all the bells and whistles that Rapyd is offering.
Exactly. It's like, if you're just driving around town, you probably don't need a sports car, right?
A reliable sedan will do the trick.
Right. So let's break down who might actually benefit from Rapyd's premium features and who might be better off with a different hosting provider.
Sounds good to me. Where do we start?
Well, I think the key consideration here is how critical your website is to your business.
Like, how much depends on your website being up and running smoothly?
Exactly. If your website is mission critical, if even a few minutes of downtime could mean lost revenue or frustrated customers, then Rapyd starts to look pretty appealing.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. So we're talking about businesses where their online presence is their lifeblood.
Right. Think e-commerce sites processing a high volume of transactions.
Online communities where engagement is key.
Membership sites with exclusive content, those sorts of things. Places where speed, reliability, and security are absolutely paramount.
And these businesses are willing to invest a bit more to ensure that their website can handle anything thrown at it.
Exactly. They understand that in the long run, a premium hosting solution like Rapyd can actually save them money by preventing downtime and lost revenue.
That makes sense. But let's play devil's advocate for a minute here. Couldn't someone argue that even a simple blog or portfolio site could benefit from super fast loading times and top-notch security?
Of course, every website can benefit from those things, but it's a question of balancing cost and benefit. If you're just starting out, have a limited budget, and your site isn't generating a lot of revenue yet, then opting for a more basic hosting plan might be a smarter move.
So it's all about figuring out what stage of the website journey you're in and what your priorities are.
Precisely. If you're a small business owner with a simple website and a few hundred visitors per month, you probably don't need a dedicated account manager and 24/7 support.
A shared hosting plan with a reputable provider might be more than sufficient.
Right. But if you're running a large online store or a busy membership site, those premium support options could be worth their weight in gold, especially if a technical issue arises and you need help fast.
It's about having that peace of mind knowing that someone's there to help you out when you need it most.
Exactly. And remember, as your website grows and your needs evolve, you can always upgrade to a more robust hosting plan that better suits your requirements.
No need to overspend in the early stages if you don't have to.
Right. Start small, scale up as you need to. That's the beauty of web hosting these days. There are so many options available.
So we've established that Rapyd is targeting a specific niche, and for those businesses, they offer some impressive features. But we haven't really talked about pricing yet. What's the damage if you decide to go with Rapyd?
Well, as you might expect, their plans aren't exactly cheap. They're definitely positioned at the higher end of the market, reflecting those premium features and support options we've been discussing.
So we're talking more of a luxury sedan than an economy car here.
Exactly, but remember, you're paying for peace of mind, reliability, and a level of performance that you won't find with most budget hosting providers.
It's like anything else in life. You get what you pay for.
Right, and if your website is a crucial part of your business, that investment can pay off big time in the long run.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's not forget about that upcoming CDN release from Rapyd. We touched on this earlier, but I think it's worth diving into a bit deeper. Remind us again what a CDN is and why it matters.
Sure, imagine this. You have a website hosted on a server in, say, New York City.
The Big Apple.
Right. And someone in London tries to access your site. Their request has to travel all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to reach your server and then back again with the information.
Okay, I'm starting to see the problem here. The farther away your visitors are from your server, the longer it takes for your website to load.
Exactly. And that's where CDN comes in. It's a network of servers distributed across the globe, each storing a copy of your website's static content like images, CSS files, and JavaScript files.
So instead of having just one server in New York, you have servers all over the world.
Right. And when someone visits your site, the CDN automatically directs them to the server that's geographically closest to them, reducing latency and ensuring faster loading times.
So it's like having a local shop in every city around the world, ensuring that customers can get what they need quickly and efficiently, no matter where they are.
A perfect analogy. And Rapyd already has a reputation for fast loading times, so adding a CDN to the mix could really take things to the next level.
But didn't you raise a thought-provoking question earlier about CDNs potentially becoming less of a differentiator as they become more common?
Absolutely. As more and more hosting providers offer CDNs as a standard feature, it's going to become less of a unique selling point.
So what does that mean for website owners? What should they be focusing on when choosing a hosting provider in the future?
It means we need to look beyond the hype and focus on the core fundamentals that truly matter: reliability, security, support, and ease of use. Those are the things that will truly set hosting providers apart in the long run.
That's a great point. And speaking of focusing on what matters, let's shift our attention to another crucial aspect of web hosting: security.
You're right, security is paramount. We've already touched on Rapyd's proactive approach, but it's worth exploring this in more detail.
Let's do it, because in today's digital landscape, you can never be too careful when it comes to protecting your website and your data.
Absolutely. So let's dive into the specifics of Rapyd security measures and see what makes them stand out from the crowd.
Okay, we've talked about speed, we've talked about making sure your website is accessible all over the world, but now let's talk about keeping those websites safe.
Because a fast website doesn't matter much if it's vulnerable to attacks.
Right, it's like having a fancy car with no locks.
Hmm.
So let's dig into how Rapyd approaches security.
Well, they've mentioned this multi-layered approach, but what does that actually mean?
Yeah, give us the details.
Think of it like building a fortress around your website.
I like where this is going.
First, you've got the outer wall, the firewall. This is your first line of defense, blocking any malicious traffic before it even reaches your site.
So the firewall is like the gatekeeper, keeping the bad guys out.
Exactly. But what if some attackers try to overwhelm the gates, so to speak?
You're talking about DDoS attacks, those digital mobs trying to flood a website with traffic.
Right. And that's where the next layer comes in: DDoS protection. It's like having a security team that can spot those attacks and deflect them, keeping your site online.
So even under heavy fire, your website stays up and running. But what about those sneaky hackers who are always looking for backdoors and vulnerabilities to exploit?
Well, that's where application containerization comes in. It's a fancy way of saying that your website is isolated from others on the server.
So even if one site gets compromised, the damage is contained.
Exactly, like having separate compartments in a ship. If one floods, the others stay safe.
Smart. Okay, so we've got firewalls, DDoS protection, containerization. It's a pretty solid setup.
It is, but Rapyd takes it a step further with their partnership with PatchStack.
Right, the Vulnerability Detection Squad. Explain why this is such a big deal.
Well, most security is reactive. You wait for a problem to happen, then you fix it. PatchStack is different. They're proactively searching for vulnerabilities before they become public knowledge.
So they're finding those weaknesses before the hackers do.
Exactly. And that gives Rapyd time to patch those vulnerabilities before they can be exploited. It's like having a security team that's always one step ahead.
It's a huge advantage, especially for businesses that can't afford any downtime or security breaches.
Absolutely. It's peace of mind knowing that your website is being constantly monitored and protected by experts.
Okay, so it sounds like they've really covered all the bases when it comes to security. But I'm curious, for someone who's not a tech expert, how easy is it to actually manage all these security features?
That's a good question. And from what I've seen, Rapyd has done a great job of simplifying things. Their dashboard provides a clear overview of your security settings so you can easily see what's being done to protect your website.
So you don't need a degree in cybersecurity to keep your site safe.
No, not at all. They've made it pretty user-friendly, even for those who aren't super tech-savvy.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about performance, global reach with CDNs, and now security. It
Yeah.
seems like Rapyd is really putting a lot of effort into providing a premium hosting experience.
They are. And for businesses that rely heavily on their online presence, that investment can be well worth it.
But as we always say, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's important to consider your own needs, your budget, and what's most important for your website.
Right. If you're just starting out, a simpler hosting plan might be a better fit. But if you need the best of the best, if your website is mission critical to your business, then Rapyd is definitely worth considering.
Absolutely. And remember, knowledge is power. So do your research, check out Rapyd's website, and see if they align with your goals.
And as always, we're here to help you navigate the world of web hosting. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
That's right. And be sure to check out the show notes for links to all the resources we've mentioned today.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
And happy hosting, everyone!